All right, so you're interested in doing some dirt bike camping. This video is more geared towards people that are riding single track, whooped out, hilly, sandy stuff on a dirt bike, maybe multi-day camping, which is, when I first set this kit up, I rode the Michigan Cross Country Cycle Trail. It was like 750 miles, took me 5 days. I did it in the fall, so it was kind of cold. So some of the stuff I have here is based on cold weather. It was like 40 degrees in the middle of the day. I got caught in the rain a few times. So anyway, if you're camping in cold weather, which I kind of like to do around in Michigan, everybody camps when it's cooler out. There's no bugs and stuff. It's kind of nice to do. Anyway, I'll give you some lessons learned, talk about what I bring. So I usually wear full motocross gear, knee braces and stuff, and then I'll have a spare pair of riding gloves and a spare pair of riding socks. That way every day I can switch them out and put on dry stuff, hopefully, if you haven't been completely soaked. And I'll strap stuff to the outside of the bike and let it air out, the spare gloves and socks during the day, or at night if you can let them dry overnight. So that was what I'd be wearing while I'm riding. At camp, I would have one pair of wool socks, one pair of wool long johns, these are smart wool, and one t-shirt. It's nice when you get to camp to put on some clean, dry clothes, and you're only wearing them at night. I only bring one set of clothes. I mean, you're gonna be back in your motocross gear or your whatever your gear is the next day. You don't really need anything else. I do use a pair of bike shorts while I'm riding, just to kind of help with the monkey butt, especially on multi-day rides. If you're on the bike 5 to 10 hours, whatever it is, that's a godsend. And since I said I was riding in the cold, I have a Mountain Hardware rain shell. It's just a cheap, well, it's not that cheap, I guess, but it's a thin, uninsulated rain jacket. When it would get cold, throw that on over top of my riding gear and usually be good to go. Sometimes in the morning, if it was cold or if it was late in the evening and it got really cold out, I would throw on this down jacket underneath, which would definitely help keep me warm. The only problem with the down is if you get it wet, you're pretty much screwed. It's useless. So just know that if you're packing down. For me, I really usually don't need this. I kind of bring it as like a pillow, and it packs so well. The packability of downs, it's hard to beat. So I bring that jacket. I also bring a buff to put around my neck and a baklava in case it gets really cold. I have a wool baklava here, or balaclava, or however you say it. And I do bring a beanie usually, just to wear around camp. Especially, if it's late at night and you're end of the day, because sometimes it's nice to have a hat. One pair of warmer gloves to wear, just in case. I've yet to have to use these, but I like these Carhartt. They're work gloves. I think they're like Workforce or something, but they call it like wind stop, but basically it's Gore-Tex inside. I've used these for a lot of different things, working around the house, snowmobiling, whatever, a lot of cold weather riding. I really like these Carhartt, like wind stop gloves. I have a headlamp, and for water, I'll have my water pack in my bag, but then for cooking and or just if I need more water, these smart water bottles are great. Go to your grocery store, get them. You drink the water, just refill it. These are pretty trashed. I've had these for years, and they hold up. I like them because they're flexible. They're really lightweight. You can cram them in. The biggest thing is they don't weigh much. That's the whole thing here. Is try to keep it a little bit cheap if I can, and keep the weight down. A metal water bottle, forget it. A metal canteen, like. These do the same job, they weigh less, and they're cheap. So easy to replace if you put a hole in one, I guess. And then for cooking, I have a little MSR fuel bottle here, and this is like a cheap Boy Scout or GI cook kit. This is good for, you know, one person. So inside here, I've got some paper towel and stuff just to kind of keep stuff from rattling, because you really don't want stuff banging around. This is like a silicone measuring cup, Sea to Summit brand. It's got graduations in it for measuring out water. Also, if you put hot stuff in it, you can hold it and it's not too hot on your hands. Packs thin, I like that. And I have a hot shot stove, little guy that fits in here. Spork, lighter. This is like an MSR grabber, you know, if you're need to grab a pan. This is aluminum, so it fits, so I leave that in there. So that's my cook kit. Usually I'm eating rice meals. I'll get like those Knorr brand from the grocery store rice meals. That's what I kind of call them. They're kind of like rice-a-roni, whatever. It's all the same stuff, but they come in a little thin bags. They pack real easy. That plus beef jerky, nuts. Those are the usual suspects. Maybe some Cliff Bars. I do bring this little saw. This thing's saved my bacon a couple times. Not that I need to build campfires. Like most of the time when I'm on a riding trip, I don't really build fires. So I'm not bringing a steak. I'm not cooking over that fire. I usually ride, and then like by the time I'm done riding, like I'm kind of ready to go to bed. I solo ride, so I'll just hang out in my tent. And but you could build a fire with it obviously if you need to, but this I use more for like clearing trails. I've had situations going down deep, V'd out, trenched hills, sandy, going downhill where you can't lay the bike over, you can't get turned around, you can't do anything, and there's a big log across the trail that's too high to go up, over, or under, at least for me. So clear the trail, or who knows, an emergency situation. Cheap, lightweight compass. And this is just kind of first aid stuff. There's some tape in here, tweezers, bandages, band-aids. I've had to use that before. Split my chin open on a trail one time, was hemorrhaging blood. Patched myself up. You gotta be safe, you know. This is my tire tube patch kit. So I got some rubber cement, some tire patches, and some latex gloves in here. Those are good just to keep your hands from getting stuff on them. Also, latex gloves, if you didn't know, if your hands are starting to get cold, you can put latex gloves on before your hands are real cold, and then put your normal gloves over top, and that will keep your hands warm, or at least a lot warmer. I learned that from an old touring rider gal that rode BMWs like coast to coast in the United States all the time. And latex gloves, they're cheap. You can pack them anywhere. They're super thin, lightweight. So I just keep a few pairs around and they work. Let me tell you. Here's a mountain bike pump. This isn't the one I normally bring. I lost my other one on the trail, actually. And but anyway, you know, bring yourself a little pump. CO2 packs are cool, but man, if you do it once and then you're out of CO2, then now what, right? So I don't know. For me, like, I'll splurge on just bringing a little pump. I can move as much air as I need to. If you haven't noticed, I use Ziploc bags for everything. Obviously, they're cheap, they're lightweight. You can replace them. You can use them for anything you want. I don't really waste my money on buying little dry bags to like put toiletries and crap in. So here's another Ziploc bag. So this is my tools. I wouldn't normally have these in a Ziploc, but they're just there for storage. This is an old Honda bike like tool kit that you'd find like in a 70s Honda motorcycle. I've had this forever. I like drilled holes in all the little wrenches in here. But there's pliers and screwdriver in here and stuff, various size wrenches. I keep some zip ties. I feel like anybody that rides dirt bikes knows you want to have some zip ties around. I've got a Leatherman. There's a tire gauge here. And then these I love these things. These are tire spoons from Motion Pro that also have box end wrenches on them. They're forged aluminum or something. So you buy the size that fits your axle, and then the other one here I bought is it's a 12 and a 13. They kind of cut it halfway on each side. So you got a 12 and a 13 and 2 tire spoons and an axle wrench in addition to your toolkit. And usually I'll throw a few M6 bolts in, a couple washers, you know, just toss that in there too, just in case. I also like to bring some sandals, because who wants to wear their motocross boots around camp after you've been in them all day? Let those puppies air out, throw some sandals on when you're walking around, you know, muddy campground or whatever it is, and or trail side if you're doing that. This is my sleeping pad. I love this thing. This is not a sleeping pad video, but this is the Nemo Tensor Insulated size regular. This is a stuff sack type inflation thing. It's like a bag you just blow in and you cram the air in. Like you do that twice and it's inflated in seconds. Less than a minute to inflate this thing. And it weighs like, I don't know, a pound. It's very lightweight. Packs really well. It's held up well for me. I've had it for a few years now. Used it many times. I also like to bring a Cocoon silk sleeping bag liner, call it a mummy liner. You'll laugh, but at the end of the day, when you put on your nice, clean, dry, you know, wool clothes, and you slip into a silk bag liner, it's clutch. Also, you're keeping all your sweat and your nasty body stuff out of your bag, right? Like you're already, and maybe it's too hot to wear your clothes, so you want to just sleep with your boxers on or whatever you got going on. Still, the liner, even more so, keep all that sweat and garbage out of your sleeping bag. And these weigh nothing. Super easy to pack. Down sleeping bag. This pack's even smaller than it looks. The key thing with down bags, so you notice like certain things I'll spend my money on, sleeping bag's one of them. Down bags weigh way less than a synthetic fill or whatever else, and they pack better. So, you know, I bucked up for my rain shell, and I bucked up for my sleeping stuff. Very lightweight there. This tent is an old Easton tent with like carbon fiber tent poles. I don't think they make these anymore. It's an Easton Kilo 3P. It's 3-person, but it's good for like 2 and your gear. This thing weighs 3 pounds. All right, so I got a 3-person tent here that weighs 3 pounds. And then, I can't remember if I talked about the bags I used on the bike normally, but I've got a giant loop bag now, but when I first developed this kit, I was using Nelson Rigg saddlebags, enduro saddlebags, and then I had this Earth Pack dry bag that I got on Amazon. They used to be a lot cheaper. This is a 40 liter. So this 40 liter I would put on top of the bike and lash it down with just some rope. That would hold my tent, sleeping bag, and my camp clothes, and my sleeping pad, you know, and a few other things. But like that stuff would go in the dry bag. Kept it dry. I mean, this thing's taken a beating over the years. So if you're looking for a dry bag, like Earth Pack, it's the only one I've ever had, but no complaints. This thing's been through it. So that, and then I run a backpack. So I don't have GPS. I have a laminated map book for the Michigan Trail System I made years ago. And then I do bring an emergency, it's not like a GPS navigation device, but it's like you hit the button and you can call for help. It can also send out pre-sent messages or pre-made messages. It's a Garmin InReach Mini, I think it's called. So my wife can track me on that thing, and she knows if it stops for an hour and she doesn't hear from me or something, I'm laying on the trail either dead or hurt or dying, and she should send help. And also, you know, obviously if I break a leg or whatever, I could just push the button, and the idea is that someone will come for you. So you don't have to ride your bike out with broken legs. But yeah, so that's the gear I've used successfully over a few trips, and I've narrowed it down to, you know, just these few things. Hopefully this helps you out, and have a good time out there.